Hi, this is Magnus Björnold. Today I wanted to talk about capital projects and especially talk about those companies that maybe they own lots of factories, maybe they own a large amount of infrastructure, and on an ongoing basis, on an annual basis, they'll make large investments in terms of improving that infrastructure or those factories. And that means they probably have quite a substantial budget set aside every year to keep making investments. So if you're in that situation and managing those investments, you typically have a budget set aside for approximately how much money am I investing every year. And you want to make sure that those investments you make have the right impact in your business. When companies are in that position, one of the most important things to know is how much is it going to cost to do certain kinds of projects. Because what becomes incredibly difficult is if I think that a project is going to cost $1 million and it ends up costing $5 million. Those extra $4 million are going to come from somewhere. Either I'm going to have to go back and ask for more money, or I'm going to have to start taking those $4 million out of another investments that I'm making. And that is a very uncomfortable position where people don't want to be. If you understand what it takes to deliver certain projects, and if you have good accuracy to make sure that when I think it's going to cost somewhere in this range of cost, and I can be very accurate in those predictions, I can be much more confident in my overall capital project portfolio planning, and I can have much less disruption in having to cancel projects, reallocate capital, or ask for more money. So that's one of the challenges that a lot of companies face. So what do people do about this? So how can I actually get better? If this is a big enough problem, meaning that I spend hundreds of millions of dollars of capital equipment every single year, you need to understand how this money is being spent. You need to have a single source of truth across your whole portfolio of where am I investing my money, how much do I think it's going to cost to invest that money, and how much does it actually cost to deliver these projects. And this is something that a lot of companies are not very good at. Because this is not part of what you're actually selling, your end product, capital projects are a lot of times overlooked in terms of investing in good software technologies. And this is where Twenty5 can help. We can help make sure that you have that foundation for storing all your estimates. We can help make sure that you increase the accuracy around estimating projects. We can make sure that you're managing this project all the way from doing initial feasibility studies. Am I then, after the feasibility studies and whatnot, which projects am I funding and which projects am I not funding? So how can we facilitate that? And then also, once we decide on which projects we're actually going to execute, how can I make sure that I'm in essence taking those projects that I have estimated and handing them over into my execution engine and saying, here's your now approved budget that you're going to go after and actually deliver against. And there's one more thing that we do well and supporting here, and that is that in all estimating, it is not just $1 million. It is typically a range of outcomes. So we help establish the degree of risk involved in different kinds of projects. There's more uncertainty in some projects than others, and we help you capture that degree of uncertainty, making sure that you understand and putting yourself in a better position to make which project am I going to fund, which am I not going to fund, and how do I also seamlessly hand these over into execution. After I have estimated my project, after I'm setting myself up for execution, how do I keep track of the actual execution of the project? And then the outcome of a capital project is not just closing the project, right? The outcome of this is we're actually transferring that spend into actual assets. Now I'm talking about financial assets. We can also help facilitate that process. So the output of a project is that we have established certain set of capitalized assets that sits in your financial system that can be depreciated. So we're really taking this holistic view of everything from an initial feasibility study, should I do this or that, all the way to I have an asset on my books that I can depreciate over time.